All right, welcome back to second episode of In the Green Bets. Part of the Sports 2.0 network. It was a good week. Good episode to start off. I was up almost 4 units, and if not for Spieth's collapse, the last 4 holes may have been a lot more with our first outright, but that's the nature of outright betting.
Yeah, we both had good weeks. This is great way to start off the season. Spieth fucked up kind of a mega week, as I put it in my thing, which stinks.
Yeah.
But I hit the margin right there at the end, which was a great cap off for the whole tournament. Unfortunately, I didn't get there, but I still think overall that's a good start, and I think we should build on it. Maybe let's try to do back-to-back doubles.
Yeah, good week. Smoked the matchups. Cleared enough of the top 20s, top 40s, top 10s to make money in all those categories. Outrights are elusive. They're tough to hit, but we'll be back at it again this week. I hopped in early this week on Monday where there were some really, really good numbers out there on some guys I had my eye on, looking Sunday and Monday night, or Sunday night, Monday morning. Hopped on, got some nice numbers. There's still some value out there, like we'll talk about, but if you're looking to get in the outright market, if you can do some research Sunday night, Monday morning, get some of those early numbers, there's value there for sure. We're headed.
Yeah, I like it.
We're headed to Scottsdale, Waste Management Phoenix Open, one of the most entertaining events in my opinion. It's the fans are really involved. 16 is an awesome hole, but 17 is like it changes the whole tournament every year. Basically, it's a drivable par 4, but it's also an opportunity to make double. We saw Brooks make up like 6 shots on James Hahn and like 5 holes capped off by a chip-in eagle on that hole last year. And the field is really, really good. After a week where the field was crap, it's nice to have a super loaded field. Waste Management, TPC is kind of it's a bomber's course in the sense that guys who hit it first play well here, but it's not necessarily something you have to do. We've seen like Webb has done really well here. Being in the fairway is certainly a plus, because if you're not, you're in kind of the deserty shit. But these are big greens, and it kind of comes down to who of the best ball strikers putts well here. Finau, he cost himself a tournament with some poor putting after some good ball striking, and it's been a kind of a who's who of guys over the years who won this event. 2 times Decky, 2 times Brooks, Webb, Rahm's played amazing, Xander's played amazing, JT's played amazing here. So in this field, I feel like it's going to be a big boy.
I'm having some technical difficulties over here on our end, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I'm back. I'm at least like sort of back. Hopefully we can manage it. I like a lot of elite ball strikers, and it seems like we can bring in some of the not so great putters this week. I was reading PGA Tout's write-up, and he was saying it's the third highest make of putting, or third highest makes of putts outside of 15 feet on tour. So I think that a stat like that kind of shows you how you can bring in some not so great putters. Guy like Corey Connors, maybe Kyle Stanley. If you want to place a top line, Corey Connors is in contention to be in my one and done this week. Maybe even be in a matchup later on in the show. I really like it. If you can kind of take advantage and not let those 4 long holes hurt you. I think we talked about this earlier in the week as far as like, survive those 2 long par 3s, survive a couple of those par 4s that sniff 500 yards. And then I think you'll be fine. Really just ball strike your way around the course. We've seen some really, really good players play place and continue to do well here. So I think this is some opportunity for people like us and other bettors to take those ball strikers and try to ride them this week.
Yeah, it kind of seems like one of those courses that you have to putt good, but bad players can putt good here. Like it kind of, I don't know necessarily what it is about the greens. Maybe they're just really, really pure. They're pretty fast. They're some of the fastest greens on tour year over year. So it's one of those things where it's like, do I look for good putters or do I look at guys who are awesome ball strikers and kind of hope they just overachieve their normal putting? But
Right.
let's get into the outright market because knowing the field was going to be so good. When I pulled it up Monday morning, I was like, all right, I'm going to go grab a guy who's one of the elite guys who's priced at the bottom of the elite tier. If you look here, Rahm 6-1. That's a crazy number, but he's been so good. He's been so good here. I really wanted to bet JT, but 10. I think I've seen him high as 14. That's just not a bettable number. When
Right.
Spieth and Xander are at 20. My first bet of the week my lowest odds bet of the week was Xander at 20. I know he hasn't been able to win. He choked this away bad last year, but he's been so good here. If you go look at his finishes, they're all like top 20s for like the last 6 months. Basically, he just plays well every week. And I'd rather take my chances on a 20 on him versus like a 12 on someone else. So that's how I kind of looked at the top of the board.
Yeah, I kind of want to mention your Abe number at least because I think he's still probably bettable down here in this group. So I like guys like him, Scotty. If anybody saw my tweet earlier, I have Fitzpatrick there on my card. Also, probably gonna he made a hole in one today, supposedly practicing. So that's a good juju.
Right.
But I like these elite players who are getting priced behind the super elites. I think that's a good group to focus on this week because they all have that talent to kind of hopefully push through and win without all that putting magic that's needed.
Yeah, and like you said, some other numbers I got. So that was kind of my top of the board look, and then I was able to get Scheffler at 33 and Burns at 35. The Burns 33 number is still out there if you look, and I'm assuming you can get Scheffler at better than what DraftKings has here. Brooks at 30 is interesting only in the sense that like he wasn't playing that great when he won last year, and he's won this twice.
Right.
There's been some stats floating around the Twitter sphere about Louis' opening the year event and how amazing he's been, but I'm not necessarily betting Louis to win a field like this. He just hasn't proven he can win that. Going down farther, Adam Scott was another guy that I bet. You see Abe there at 55. I got him at 66 earlier in the week. That's a great number for a guy who just won a WGC last fall.
I don't mind that Connors number either. I think he's usually priced below that, and I think this is an event that he can win.
Same. This is an event where if he can just find the decent putting, I'm going to check and see what he is. He's 45 here. He's 50 there. Looks like he's 41 there. So a 50 is a pretty good number. It looks like. I don't know how far down I really want to go in a good field like this. I just can't. I see people tweeting out cards of all these guys over 100. I'm like, great. Those are in theory good numbers, I suppose. But like, are they going to beat a field of Rahm, JT, Brooks, Spieth, Cantlay, Decky? Like, that's not happening. So,
right.
Especially on a course where all those guys are for the most part, good players. Wise, I got Wise at 100. I don't necessarily know that he's I'm not saying he's like a lock to win, but 100 is a great number on how good he's been playing. And then Homa, I saw him at 80. He's got 3 wins on tour, and one of them is a really good one. So you can do worse than him at 80. You got Ricky Fowler sitting there at 80, and Ricky Fowler has been hot garbage for the better part of 6 months.
Can you scroll up and look at Berger's number?
So Berger's 25 here. I think 22 at Rivers and 27 at FanDuel. So
I'm actually interested in that number. I think that he might be more of like a DFS play just because of him the injuries kind of pushing away from everybody using him. But I think I have if you play, I feel like then you should think that you're ready to finish the tournament, right? Unless something happens, I feel like he's comfortable enough that he's going to finish all 4 rounds. So if that's the case and you can get low ownership, this is more of a I was like maybe not for a win, but maybe for an ownership thing purposes. Maybe take a gamble on him. He's a really good player, and this is a course where he can compete at. So I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah, for me, it's just the injury risk. Not sure I want to put a lot, but if you're peppering the DFS market with lineups, his ownership percentage is definitely going to be lower than Burns and Scheffler and Schauffele, all those guys in the same area. So I think that's actually pretty good advice there. Let's move on to the derivative market. I don't know why, but FanDuel's numbers are just way better, basically across the board. Their finishing positions market is just so much better. I don't have an explanation, but one of my favorite bets this week is Vic top 10. I also think there's Spieth and Scheffler and those guys, Burns, all those top 10 numbers are pretty fair, especially when you look across the board at some pretty bad numbers on Rivers and DraftKings.
Yeah, I wonder what their handle is compared to other books on golf. I don't know if that maybe plays into a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you look into some of those numbers, I agree. The Burns that is great. Even a Xander up there is a pretty, like, he's played well here so often, and he just seems like a guy who's going to kind of go in there. I think Louis is going to maybe see a top 10 or a top 20 from me, later, just based on his performance here and how, like you said, we mentioned there's some stats floating around about how good he plays when he put on his first event back. And he definitely hasn't played this year, so this will be good for him.
That 390 number is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
That Louis number is really nice. And like I said, Burns and Scheffler are two guys that I'm pretty heavy into this week, and those are both really good top 10 numbers, plus 320 and plus 230 for Scotty. See, he's plus 250 here, so that's a little bit better at Rivers. Plus 180 there. One thing, I'm hopping around between all these books. I will say over and over again, shop your numbers. There's enough books now that are legal. I know it's kind of a hassle to have money spread all over creation, but man, the numbers are so different, so different. And sometimes you can just find really, really good value. And on that matchup market, there's just more options. They spread it around different matchups between different people. So like that's a little shop around rant, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think that you'll start to see that, especially if you start to look at our cards on Twitter, is that a good top 20 or good top 30 number can make or break your card. That can put you over the edge and how you get returns. So if you have the ability, be flexible, open multiple accounts, track your bets, and try to play some in smart ways, because over the course of the year it could really return you a nice handful of cash if you hit the right guys. Yeah.
So. And going into the top 20 market, I love the top 20 markets where I've made good money week over week for the most part. And here I'm just looking for floor guys. I'm not necessarily trying to find guys who are going to win. Like, I don't want necessarily super high upside, super low downside guys. I want good ball strikers who have shown some potential to putt. So for this week, I've got a big old list here, whole bunch of guys on there. Homa, Damon, Gooch, Answer, List, Wise, Mitchell. None of those guys I would say are like the best putters on planet Earth, but they're all excellent ball strikers with a good history here. Damon's number is really, really good. He's playing good golf, top 5 last week. Homa's been good here. He missed the cut at Farmers, but he had kind of a weird stretch on the South course, so I don't really know that I put a ton of stock into that miscut. He played good in the other round. Aaron Wise, plus 240 right there. Mitchell, I think I saw Mitchell at 4-1. He just finished really well last week.
He's James Hahn, 6-1.
Yeah,
super course history guy. He's had a 10th, 25th, 67th, 11th, a 17th, a 16th, all within the last 10 times that he's played this event. He clearly has a comfortability here. I like course history guys this week. I think it works, in a 6-1 on a top 20. It's pretty good for a guy of his caliber, because we've seen him compete in events like this.
How about a 7-1?
I like 7-1 even more.
Yeah. So there's Gim. Gim at 6-1 is interesting to me. He's a good ball striker guy. He floats in and out, but he's been good here before. I don't know, that in the top 20 market, there's just a lot of good value. Cam Davis at 5-1. He kind of fits the mold of some guys who have played well here in the past. Davis is not the most consistent player on planet Earth, but the upside is there for sure. Troy Merritt just played awesome last week, plus 450. Like I said, Mitchell plus 410, Damon plus 410. that's a great number. Joel Damon plus 410 at a course that makes bad putters good and rewards good ball striking. That's Joel Damon to a T. And he's
Right.
streaky. He can get hot with the putter. That's kind of the thing I like about Damon is the putter can get going the right direction. Bermuda is his best surface. Obviously not great still, but a good surface. 6th last week. He consistently gains on approach, consistently gains off the tee, and the putter can spike. That's what I kind of like from him.
Kyle Stanley was another one I mentioned earlier. His top 20 would be around probably 8-1 or so. He's going to be a top 15 ball striker in the field. His proximity numbers from long ranges on some of these long holes is going to be perfect to set up for him. It's just the putting and around the green numbers. He's like 25th in my model, and his putting is like in the 120s.
Like dead last. Oh, it's got to be close to dead last.
Right. So I think that if you pick a couple of these guys you like, make it off of any decision, right? Course history, recent form, guys you like do whatever you want, but pick some of these guys who can't really putt and put a couple big numbers on them. I think it could really pay off this week. You'll see it on my card come tomorrow.
9-1 on FanDuel for top 20. And, those numbers are good for top 40s also. Some 40 guys, I wrote down Doug Gim. I think his number is fair on top 40. Mitchell, his number is probably still fair in the top 40. Kyle Stanley is dead last in strokes gained putting over the last 24 rounds in my model, but he still ranks in the top 50 in my model. So that's a really good value. When we put out our cards, I promise we've taken a lot of time and effort to figure out which guys we like the best based on the numbers, and there'll be some good value in there.
Kyle Stanley hasn't finished in the top 20 since May of last year, so maybe bump that up to a 30.
Well, that's what happens when you're the worst putter on the entire tour for that entire period. I mean, his putting stats are – he's the guy all last fall. He kept popping like top 15 in my model, and it's like, how is this happening? It's like maybe I should put a little more emphasis on putting to curb the Kyle Stanley pop, because – minus 2.9, minus 4, minus 4.6, minus 3.6, minus 4.5. Like he's only gained strokes putting once since May of last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. He gained 0.8. So
yeah, Mito
like
will be another one this week for some placings. I think Mito has a chance. His ball striking would definitely also stack up here.
I like Mito as I don't know about full contrarian play, but like some people are going to be off of him after he was super high owned and everybody bet a bunch of money on him last week, and he pooped all over himself. So maybe you get a little extra value in DFS or a one and done type of thing if you decide to go that route.
Yeah, can we discuss Russell Henley? It seems like he might be a popular play this week.
Yeah, so I've seen people betting him at his number, which I got it here at 40. That might be the best number I've seen is 40. That's no way I'm betting Russell Henley in this field to win. I like him a lot. He fits this course perfect, but he's not beating those other guys. He just proved a few weeks ago that he's still got some hurdles to climb on the winning circle, but perfect course fit. Absolutely perfect.
His last 4 starts, 2 top 10s and 2 top 25s, staggered there with the second at the Sony, like we just talked about. I mean, I know it's going to be hard with the talent, but I think of guys like that, you're going to find some value, and maybe a top 10 on him would be okay if you like him coming in to maybe compete. Hopefully get up in like the top 5, and then on Sunday you don't have to worry about him, climb back in. Or if he's in the 20 and he goes crazy on Sunday and bumps himself in there. Those are 2 kind of scenarios that are likely with him. So I like him also. But to win, I think I'm kind of with you there. I'm not sure he has the firepower or the putting stick to kind of win that.
Yeah, I'm looking at a plus 170 in the top 20. I think that's a pretty good number. That's a bettable number. Plus. Looks like he's plus 360 on the top 10 and the top 5. If you wanted to just say, hey, look, I'm prepped for the Russell Henley choke on Sunday, plus 650. I don't know that that's something I would bet, but the top 10 number is pretty good. He's in my model. He last 24 rounds, 3rd in approach, 5th ball striking, 3rd in opportunities gained, 1st in 150 to 175 proximity, which has a ton. There's a ton of shots in that. this week. 14th in fairways gained. This is one of those courses that it's not imperative that you're in the fairway, but it helps you a lot, especially with giving yourself good angles into some of these greens. The greens are huge, but like there's some big slopes and some drop offs and things that you really need to be sharp on your approach shots. And they're really fast too. So the shorter putt you have, the better. I like him. I wouldn't go into the outright territory with him.
Yeah, there's another Russell on my thing that I bet last week, Russell Knox, also another guy who's leading in greens in regulation gained right now in the last 24 in the field. He's another guy I think you could find some value in a 30 or 20. He unfortunately didn't really cash last week, but he didn't play too bad. I'm not sure what he ended up finishing, maybe 38. I don't know what he finished. I can look it up though. But he was top 20 in my model, which is another good sign. Been ball striking the heck out of it. Yeah, tied with 33rd. Gained 4.3 on approach last week. Just the putter kind of let him down. So I think he's another guy. I think we can find a lot of value back in here with these ball strikers.
Yeah, a couple other guys I just want to mention before we move on to the head-to-head market that they're high in my model. Pat Perez been playing good. This is kind of a home field advantage for him. He's a really good ball striker. He's 19th in strokes gained approach and 13th putting. So you pair those two things together. He's down and off the tee, but I don't know that it kills you here as long as your approach play and your putter is good. He's first in par fours from 450 to 500. There's a bunch of them here. His comfortability in the desert courses and particularly this event is pretty good, and he's been playing some good golf. He just finished ninth at Pebble and sixth at the Farmers. He's playing good, and he's proven that he can. He's had 5 top 30 finishes at this tournament. So that there's some good numbers out on Perez. Not an outright play for me. That's a finishing spot bet. Another guy here that I wanted to mention, Troy Merritt, played awesome last week. He's a guy that can get just hot. This is one of those courses where you can go low. We saw Mark Hubbard shoot like 60 or 1 or something last year here, something crazy, and he had a nice finish. So just a couple other guys to mention.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pat Perez will probably sleep in his own home this week. I think he has a house right there, right? So that'll be maybe something you can play off of. I know you can always convince yourself to anybody, but still, I mean, it's kind of fun. He kind of fits the course, fits the area, playing pretty well. I agree. We've gave you a lot of names out, but like I said, I think the value is there. So to pick the guys you like and kind of go from there. Build out your own card because the value is there. If you don't give yourself enough, then you won't be able to hit them.
One thing I wanted to talk. This is like a topic, I guess, to talk about, kind of in the same vein. So Luke List 2 weeks ago won, didn't play last week. Hoagie won last week. Both are good course fits in the sense that good tee to green. Hoagie's putter is obviously super hot. But how do you cap guys that are coming off wins? Like List has been 2 weeks, so he's had a week off. But Hoagie's straight there. Grant, he's staying with his mom or something. His mom lives out there, so maybe it's a little different. But what are your thoughts on like them? I assume people will be off of them because it's like, oh, they just won. It's like, do they really care? But like, what do you think?
I try to like do a little deeper dive into their model because especially a guy like Luke List is after his win and you go to put him in their models and he jumps way to the top because of how good he played on that round, in those 4 days. So I would take some time and maybe look at some of the history prior to the wins and then try to make your decision based off that. And then just use the win as if just it was a good week, not necessarily think of it as, oh, he won the whole event. I tend to stay away from it personally just because I get scared that I'm going to overreact to the wins. But at the same time, I mean, Hoagie is not a bad play this week. I don't think
For me, it's List. He's been amazing for like 4 months, 5 months. And this is a course that kind of props up the shitty putters. He can bomb it and hit the fairway. Hoagie's numbers are arguably just as good. He's just a little more inconsistent, or has been a little more inconsistent. But before the Farmers win, 22nd at Amex, 10th at RSM, 11th at Houston, 7th at Zozo. Really, really good approach play. And obviously he's awesome off the tee. His is kind of a putter. I'm not thinking a win necessarily, but I think there's some pretty good top 20 numbers on list.
It looks like here we don't have the Zozo information, but he got 7, so I assume he gained on approach there. So that's like probably what 8 out of the last 9 events that he's gained on approach. Like you said,
and
he's
off
got
the tee for the most part.
Yeah, and he's got that win in there. He's got that win kind of correlated with that spike in his putter, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I agree, it kind of fits, and I don't mind it at all, especially guys like there, because they're kind of fighting for their paychecks, right? They're obviously not broke. They make enough money and they're fine, but they're kind of fighting to make to take those next level steps as PGA golfers, and to kind of come off these wins and play well and kind of ride that high. I agree. I don't think it's a bad play, and maybe if you can throw some in a matchup or something like that, I think it'd be a good play for that too.
Yeah, plus 220 I see on list for top 20. That's a great number for his form. I was just curious. It's weird because it's like, oh, they just won. Does this matter as much now? Blah, blah, blah. They're exempt for however long. They just won $1 million some dollars. But I don't know. These guys seem like pretty normal dudes. They've been grinding out here forever, both of them. So I wouldn't have any problem betting either of them.
Yeah. I think you also have to take in the strength of the field, right? Like a field like this is a little different, because it doesn't matter.
Harder to get in the top 20.
Like, even if you're playing well, a guy like Tom Hoagie is going to struggle to get in the top 20 of a field that's this loaded. So, I think you have to play all those factors just like every other derivative bet, right? So, but I think it's okay if you can find the value. Maybe throw them in your lineup. Maybe find a matchup. Maybe throw them on the end of a 30 or 20. I don't hate it. And the ball strike, if you kind of stick to the ball strikers like we've been talking, that's not a bad way to have add somebody on the back end of your talent guys up top.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's hop into the head-to-heads. There's not a ton of matchups, quite frankly, in the books. I was not happy because it was like, all right, here's 12 matchups, but it's all guys who have awesome form against another guy with awesome form, or a bunch of guys with amazing course history and good form. It's like, all right, well, trying to parse the difference between two guys playing great golf it's tough. So I found a couple, but it's not amazing.
One guy I'm searching for a matchup this week is Cantlay. I'm searching for a Cantlay bet and number that I can use. I think that he is. I mean, with his finishes, I don't have him pulled up here, but I can look. I mean, his finishes, he wins. I can't imagine what his win rate is on versus any golfer right now. Like any golfer, counting Jon Rahm. He finishes so well. I just don't. I think the value is there with him. 4th, 9th, 4th, 1st, 11th. Those are his last finishes. I think if you can find a good number, I would bet a lot.
His under par round streak or his rounds in the 60s is just absolutely insane. It's been his scoring average over the last 25 rounds is 68. It's so crazy.
Right. You could maybe bet him in a round matchup, in a 3-ball. You could maybe bet him there. Yes. I'm sure his odds are insane, but if you bet him all week, I'm sure you'll win 2 or 3 of them, which would be great.
I see him as a huge favorite over Vic. I haven't found him as an underdog or even close to even odds anywhere. He's a guy I found there was a Max Homa over Billy Horschel matchup that I kind of like. Horschel's kind of up and down. He relies on his putter a bunch. He's not been super great of late. He's been up and down. I like Homa for this event quite a bit. It was funny. I was looking at matchups and there was a Homa versus Denny McCarthy matchup. I was like, oh, that's going on. And then I looked at Denny McCarthy's Fantasy National page and it's like, holy shit, his putter has to be burning a hole in his bag. He is playing unbelievable. He's he pops decently high on my model. He's 40th, but his finishes are 12th last week, 6th week before, 48th, 10th, 11th, 15th. It's like, all right, well, those fields aren't great, but those are good finishes, and he is just putting the lights out. So if you can find a matchup of him against somebody who's actually sucks, then right in this week.
It's kind of funny whenever you look up the other side of your matchup and then you end up trying to find one for that guy you looked up. That happens all the time in the research.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of great ones. And quite frankly, if you have some really strong feeling on one of the top guys, I'm sure you can find a matchup. There's some Ricky Fowler bets out there. I would fade the piss out of Ricky Fowler if you got like a good player. Just he's been playing terrible again. He missed his last couple cuts. He plays good here. Maybe it's stupid to bet against him on this course. He plays good, but he's been playing bad. I guess he maybe makes the cut just purely off his good vibes here, but not necessarily somebody I'd try to fade him if I can. The other guy I'm fading, Harold Varner. This is kind of in our he just won last week. He's flying from Dubai or Saudi Arabia, and he just won his first event in probably who knows when the last time he won a golf tournament was. College, high school, I don't know. He hasn't won a PGA event. So I'm sure he did some celebrating. I can't imagine he gives a shit about this week. I'm sure he cares once he gets out there, but for him, it seems a bit different. And Abe Answer is the guy I got in a head-to-head on an even number. So that's a bet for me for sure.
Yeah, I actually had that one written down for my research earlier. The other two I have are two Xander matchups. Xander over Decky, which was plus 110, and then Xander over Scotty minus 110. I think Xander's going to play really well. Decky obviously is coming in. His last, 6 months have been crazy. But yeah, or even more now. His last year, really, ever since coming off of the Masters. But I really like Xander this week. I like him when you can get the odds closest to even as possible. Outside of the top guys, not going to bet him against Rahm unless it's crazy or Cantlay. But I like Xander on courses where he plays well, and this is a clear one. I think if you bet on Xander enough here this week, I think he'll cash as kind of an overall player for you.
Yep, I don't mind that at all. Anything else in the matchup market?
No, I just got one more, but it's my best bet, so I'll save it.
Okay. Some specials. I have not dug into the specials on FanDuel until today. There are some, and maybe they're not there every week, but there are some very fun specials that I can't wait to lose money on. But one in particular that I found, it's 21-1 for obvious reasons. The bet is Jon Rahm top 5 finish, Patrick Cantlay top 10 finish, and Jordan Spieth top 20 finish. All three of those things happen 21-1, including ties. So you don't get dead heated on that bet. So that's one that I like. There's a million of these. You could sit there, and there's some really crazy odds ones too, like in the 30s and 40s on some of these guys. This is right up your alley. If nothing else, just for fun, you should take a look at these. There's some lower odds ones too that are kind of fun. Like you can get 4 out of 5 guys to finish in the top 10, something like that, or 4 out of 5 guys to finish in the top 20. So, but I like the Rahm top 5, Cantlay top 10, Spieth top 20, 21-1. Can't wait for Spieth to finish 23rd and just be super pissed when the other two cash.
That seems like a bet that Cantlay gets like 9th or 11th or something, like that's like one of those things.
Cantlay is the one that I'm most worried about. Spieth's playing great. Obviously Cantlay's playing great, but that's a tough bet, but it's fun. It's 21-1. It's not like it's crappy odds. So I'll probably throw a little bit on that.
Yeah, I like it. I like the nature of always betting on the good players, which is fun. We hit the matchup last week.
You don't get to bet Rahm very often.
We hit the margin last week. Right. We hit the margin last week, which was amazing. I'm going playoff winner and 1-stroke winner this week with the field how it is. I think that this tournament's going to be tight. It's been tight in the past. Brooks kind of coming from behind with that eagle last year. Multiple playoff wins prior to his win last year. I really think that it's going to be close. Playoff winner, 1-stroke winner. Let's get the streak to 2 and start off the year with 2 margin wins.
Yeah, I with the scoreability of the last 5 or 6 holes, I do think that kind of lends itself to guys being able to come from behind and make playoffs or make it super close or come from behind and take a lead by 1. So it's always, the margins are always a fun bet. And I'll have my Jon Rahm Cantlay Spieth sweat. So be some fun specials this week.
Some additional specials are to miss the cut. Have you seen miss the cut numbers this week?
I have them pulled up right in front of me.
Seamus Power, 2.5. Justin Thomas, 5.5.
No, he's making the cut. He's so
Taylor
good.
Gooch, 22, or what is this? He's 2-1 to miss the cut. I think there's some value here if you want to fade one of these guys.
That's Taylor Gooch right there. He's on my top 20 list. Harold Varner, 2-1, missed the cut. That's interesting to me. Brooks plus 180. He played awful at Farmers. Awful. He looked like shit, and he has dyed hair. He's less odds to make the cut than some of these other guys, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I think there's some interesting ones. If you want to go full fade of last week's winners, Tom Hoagie, he's plus 144. Yeah, there's some fun ones. I wish they would let you parlay make the cut. Rom, JT, guys like that, just put a bunch of them together.
Be amazing.
But of course, they
we'd have our own TV show if they could do that.
Yeah. Well, best bets. I will start it off. Victor Hovland, top 10, plus 230. This course sets up perfect for Vic. He's won 3 of his last 5 starts. He took last week off. He's a freaking robot. He's number 3 in the world somehow now. So I don't necessarily love him on an outright at the number he's offered at this week, but plus 230 on the top 10. He has 4 top 5s in his last 5 starts. He's one of the best tee to green players alive. I'm a little worried about his chipping on fast greens, but he hits enough greens, especially with big greens like this, that it kind of doesn't really matter. Obviously, he popped super duper high in my model, 4th in approach, 6th off the tee, 2nd in opportunities gained, top 10 in proximity from 150 to 175 and 200 plus. 2nd on par 4s for 450 to 500, and 20th in fairways gained. So not only is he bombing it, he's hitting the fairway, and his irons are amazing. So it may be one of those things where you watch him just miss a million birdies because he's got so many opportunities, but this course sets up perfect for him, and he's playing great.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, his recent finishes says it all. I mean, he's getting up there with the elites. He's right on path to be there, and those guys finish really well when they play in big events. This is a pretty big event. Guys want to win this event. The crowd's crazy. It's on TV. It's a kind of created its own atmosphere. It's a big event. These guys care about winning this event, and I think that's a good number there. I'm going with my matchup: Corey Connors over Bubba. Bubba's a little bit priced, I think, incorrectly due to his course history. And yes, he did finish well, but I think the course history is playing a big part in this. I am kind of all over Corey Connors this week based on his ball striking ability and the ability to hopefully compete on the greens. I think Corey Connors might be my one and done. We haven't decided that yet, but I like this number. Corey Connors has a plus number versus Bubba. I think that this is a really good bet. And the only way you get screwed is if Bubba, somehow plays well. I'm sure he can, but I'm okay with betting against it. And I think this matchup is wrongly favored.
Yeah, the thing with the matchups this week is there are some good underdogs in terms of players who are really good, who are big underdogs, and I think this is one of those things where it's like, Bubba's got the course history, but I'm not sure I'm pretty sure Corey Connors is better than him. And to get him at a plus number on a course that makes a lot of sense for him, I can't fault that at all. Bubba played in freaking Saudi Arabia last week. Like, that's a long ass ways from Scottsdale. These guys are obviously, they're used to traveling, but like, I don't know. Have you ever traveled around the freaking world and then tried to play golf like 2 days later? I don't know. That seems tough. We'll see. I mean, I'm all over Xander, and he traveled from Saudi Arabia, so I don't know.
Be fine.
One and dones. Have you put a lot of thought into your one and done yet?
Yes, I got 3 names: Louis, Xander, Corey.
Xander is very, very high on my one and done list. I think this is week where I'll use one of the really good guys. It's not necessarily like an elevated money event, but there's so many good players that I think you're going to have to trying to pick out the middle range player that's going to snake into the top 10 it's tough. So I'll probably take one of the big guns, Xander, or honestly, I've thought about Cantlay. a little bit too, just because he's playing so good. Burns is on the list for me, but I probably will wait to play Burns somewhere in the South where he's a little more comfortable. These are Bermuda greens, and he's a really good Bermuda putter. So those are kind of the three of the guys. Louis is an interesting play as well.
Yeah, Corey Connors is he's my lean right now. I've mentioned him a lot, but his off the tee numbers are really good, which I like here because you have the ability to hit it far if you can hit it just straight, which I think will be really helpful here. Obviously, we've talked about the putter. Corey Connors is not the greatest putter of all time, but we hopefully has the thing. Ball striking is just kind of who he is. He's Mr. Ball Striking. He's Mr. Model. I think this is a good place to use him because I'm not sure of other places I'd love to use him rather than a course where ball striking matters a lot and putting – has a chance to not matter as much.
Scheffler would be the other guy for me. Couple good 25th at the Amex, 20th at Farmers, so he's trending pretty well. 7th here last year, bombs it and hits the fairway. He's one of those guys. I think Xander might end up being my guy, but Xander's everyone's going to be on him. So, we'll see. I got absolutely screwed last week. Jason Day was in 7th, I think, to start Sunday and finished like 40th. I made like $70,000 when I was like set up so well to have like a top 5 run from Jason Day, and I'm in 111th out of 115 people in our one and done. So I've got some ground to make up. Let's just say that.
That's all right. Maybe we'll both be on Xander. Xander will win, and I'll be in 1st, and you'll be in like 10th.
I will not be in 10th if Xander wins. I do not think. I think I'll maybe move up into the top like 40. But, well, I think that's it for this week. There were some interesting NBA things that went down today. I don't know if you want to spend 20 seconds talking about the Kings
I had
debacle.
one more name.
One
more name. Martin Laird.
Yeah,
Martin Laird
on my list.
In my model.
He's 26th in mine.
And I think he'd be a good top 30 candidate. Just throw that out there at the end.
Yep. He was one of the guys. I looked at a matchup with him. I'm like, he's playing pretty good. He's missed some cuts, but he does have some decent finishes. He's gained on approach in 6 or 7 straight. So you can do worse than Martin Laird for sure. I don't know if we want to mention basketball on this podcast or if we want to just save it till we do a basketball podcast, but the Kings made a trade that made absolutely no sense at all today. I have no idea what they were doing.
I guess I'm sort of confused by how the teams are different. They seem to be in the same positions. Both seem to be in the same positions as they were.
I don't understand. Like, if it's like they didn't watch the last month. Like, Fox got hurt, Halliburton took over, and was just working dudes. He was averaging like 20 and 9 for like a month in his 2nd year in the league, and they're like, yeah, we'll stick with Fox and Davion Mitchell and try to make the playoffs with Sabonis. It's like, okay, good luck with that when Halliburton is an all-star next year and you guys still suck. I just didn't get it. I don't understand. Both teams didn't go anywhere. I don't think either team got better. I'm not sure either team got worse, but I'm not sure they got better.
No, I don't know if we can decide the winner or loser of this trade just yet, but I agree. It's a little bit of a strange one. It'll be one that we'll have to take good, a long period of time look at, depending on Halliburton's career, because Sabonis is pretty proven. He's obviously really good.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Right. They needed to kind of switch it up. It seems like for them. We'll see what they do with Brogdon. We'll see what they do with Turner. Maybe they stick with it. Maybe they don't. But they at least have a young piece now, and they can hopefully lose games on purpose in the next couple of years. Yeah,
and they have like a bajillion guards, so I would expect Hield to probably get traded, or at least maybe in the offseason. Brogdon and Halliburton is an interesting backcourt going forward. But I saw the trade and I was like, I just don't understand. Like, you just traded by far your best piece going forward for a center. He's good center, obviously, but a center, I don't know. Just didn't make a lot of sense. But
it had a little it's the trade deadline, we should trade vibe to it.
Yeah, imagine if you're like the other teams in the league though, and it's like, man, I kind of would have liked to have Sabonis. Why does he have to go play for the Kings? Like, I'd just rather have him play on a team that matters. Same with Halliburton. It's like, all right, he's going to the Pacers, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's better places for him to play, but we'll see how it goes. I think we're going to do a basketball podcast hopefully on the All-Star break. I was looking at the schedule yesterday. All-Star break there's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday events, and then there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So maybe we'll do something that like Monday, something like that. Do a little NBA check-in. The standings are kind of all over the place, so some of our bets are just in serious limbo. And now the Pelicans, who that bet was completely ready to cash, they're starting to win and trading for good players. So fingers crossed that it all goes bad for them.
It's all right. We got to stand our ground. And one little note for Tyrese Halliburton. I know he watches this show. If the Kings don't believe in you, that's a good thing. So just keep doing what you're doing.
He had a press conference the other day, and it was like kind of foreshadowing, like this franchise sucks, but I'm going to try to make it better. It's like, well, you don't have to.
So if they don't think you're a superstar, that's fine. That means you probably are one. So I think you're on the right path, and this will be an interesting thing to look for going in the future.
Yeah,
in the future couple years.
Think about it this way: one of the worst running franchises in the league just traded you to one of the best GMs in the league. So think about it that way. So Kevin Pritchard's had some really good moves. That'll be interesting to look at. Look for our card. We'll be putting it out on Twitter. I'll probably try to get mine out tonight, but it may be first thing in the morning. And let's have another week in the green.
I love it. Let's do double time.